All right, I'm having a great chat with the new, as of 2015, artistic director of Opera Santa Barbara, Kostis Protopapas. The Opera Santa Barbara is getting ready for, very, very wise programming, by the way. Georges
Thank you.
Georges Bizet's Carmen from 1875, always a winner, always a sellout. I presume it's going to be somewhat
It's
the
selling
same.
really well.
Yeah,
It's selling really
it's
well.
really a marvelous opera. Let's give the dates to everybody in Southern California who're going to be watching this. Friday, November
No,
4th. Yeah, 7:30 p.m. I'll do it. I've got other questions for you.
correct.
Okay, Friday, November 4th. It's coming up in about 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. 7:30 p.m. at the Granada Theater in downtown Santa Barbara, and then Sunday, November 6th at 2:30. Also in the Granada Theater. Tickets, I mean, $29 to $204 if you want the box, or
Right.
whatever. If you want to get fancy. The Granada Theater box office telephone number for everyone in Southern California. Area code 805 is the Santa Barbara area code 899-2222. Once more quickly, Friday, November 4th, Carmen, opening of the Opera Santa Barbara season. Friday, November 4th, Georges Bizet's Carmen, 7:30. Sunday, November 6th at 2:30 is a reprise of the performance. So those who want to just come up and have a wonderful afternoon from Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, you can do all that good stuff. Granada Theater, you can't miss it. It's it's the biggest building in town. Tickets $29 to $204. Phone number, Granada Theater box office, area code 805-899-2222. One more. The website. You can buy tickets on the internet these days. It's a modern world we live in. www.granadasb.org. Very, very simple. Kostis, let me just run down the cast a little bit for you, and then I've got some questions for you. In fact, I'll throw them at you as we read this. Octavio Cardenas is directing.
Correct.
Have you two worked together in the past on productions?
Yes, we have. We met at Des Moines Metro Opera about 3 years ago, where he has been on the directorial staff for several years now. And then he did a wonderful studio production of Florencia en el Amazonas by Daniel Catan with the Tulsa Opera Studio last year. And he and I have been friends for a while now, and this is sort of our biggest production yet. He's an incredibly talented, passionate young director. It is his first Carmen, which is something that he's been trying to do for several years now. So he's passionate, knowledgeable. It's going to be an explosive production.
Okay, now here we are. You will be having your conducting debut, by the way.
That is correct.
Have you conducted Carmen in the past?
Yes, I have conducted Carmen several times in the past.
Okay, so I'm leading up to this. When do you and Octavio sit down and have knockdown, drag-out fights about how the artistic stage production, how that works?
Well, I don't expect we're going to have any fights because I always talk to the directors in advance. Before I hire a director, we have pretty extensive conversations about our visions for the piece, what we think the piece is about, and also about what we think would work at this particular time with this particular audience. Different audiences like different kinds of productions, and so I, as artistic director, my job is to calibrate that just right for our audience.
Oh boy, that's
Octavio and I understand each other very well.
Okay, very, very good. And in the role of Carmen is mezzo-soprano Liane Sandel Pantaleo, and I think this is her debut, isn't it, with Opera Santa Barbara?
That is correct. This is the first time she's singing in Santa Barbara, but it's certainly not her first time doing Carmen. In fact, she's one of the finest Carmens I know. She's done the role extensively. She did it for me once before, 2 years ago. At Tulsa Opera, and she's just a really iconic Carmen, just terrific voice, big, beautiful voice, and she really inhabits the part. So she's the real thing.
Fabulous, and she looks the part.
Absolutely.
Very, very attractive, very sexy.
Yep.
I hope I'm not in trouble yet. And then tenor Harold Mears, who last sang with Opera Santa Barbara in 2007, he sang the role of the Duke in Rigoletto. That was before your time. He will be singing the role of Don Jose You've worked
Right.
with Harold Mears in the past?
I have. I did Madame Butterfly with him a few years ago at Opera Columbus. And Harold, his career has been growing by leaps and bounds. I think he made a Met debut last year, and he's been getting into the some bigger repertoire like Don Jose. I believe he's done that role several times. But he is it's a great combination of someone that has a sturdy, mature voice, but a very young, handsome presence. And of course, he's a terrific actor. I think he's going to be a great foil for Leanne's Carmen.
Perfect. Baritone Keith Fares is a bullfighter Escamillo, a
Correct.
music academy grad. We keep bringing him back. It's wonderful. And soprano Janine DeBeek, who is playing the role of Michaela.
Right.
So that pretty much rounds out the major characters of the cast. Let me get going with some questions here. I've already asked you about getting along with your director. Apparently, that's going to be all worked out beautifully. Are you going to? What's the staging? I presume, from what I've read, this will be a traditional 19th century staging in Seville.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Outside the bull ring and all that. Nothing about World War III or any of that.
No. This is a traditional production. The set comes from Opera San Jose. It's a very traditional set in 4 acts, and
You can have one. You can have one. You can have one intermission. So it'll be the.
I think we have 2 intermissions.
Yeah. So we're looking at the full opera, the 3.5 hours or something, roughly.
No, 3 hours.
About 3.
Yeah, I like to keep any opera at 3 hours or less. I think that's the sweet spot, and with some the correct pacing and a few cuts here and there, I think Carmen works really well at about 3 hours, including the 2 intermissions. But Carmen often needs 2 intermissions because there's just a lot of scenery. I mean, it's a big show. It's grand opera, so there are a lot of walls and other things, and walls and mountains to move around back there. So we do need the 2 intermissions. And the costumes are from A.T. Jones in Baltimore. I've done the show actually with those costumes twice before, and they are my favorite. Really colorful, anywhere from the soldiers' uniforms to the big, mantillas and fancy townspeople costumes in Act 4. It's a pretty spectacular show. The Matador costumes and all that. It's gonna be a really beautiful show, very traditional and very grand.
Fabulous. And as you know, this character Carmen is very pertinent to the 21st century.
Right.
And was certainly a very controversial decision for Georges Bizet to choose, a woman of the streets to be his heroine. How are you conceiving this Carmen? Is she a liberated woman? Is she just a harlot? What?
I think what's important to me in any production I do, I think the characters have to be relatable. The audience has to develop empathy. So in Carmen, Carmen is a realistic opera. It was written during the time of literary realism in France, Emile Zola, just really talking about real people in very direct and sincere terms. In a way, it belongs more to the Verismo tradition than the French opera tradition, if you will. So any Carmen, I think, should be a very realistic production. The characters should be, there are no gods and kings in Carmen. They are working class people. They are soldiers. They are gypsies. So Carmen, of course, is a controversial character, as is just about everybody else in the show. Has make some choices, which most of us probably wouldn't make. But also, she, considering where she's coming from, she didn't have a lot of choice. But also, I think she is a very proud character. Is a very sincere character. One of the things that she says at the end, one of her famous lines is, "Carmen was born free and will die free." So very, sincere, makes her choices and lives up to them. And of course, there's certainly some tenderness. Then there's some real humanity in her, as is in any really good opera character.
Absolutely, very well put. And I understand, as we all know from Carmen, I think maybe just about everybody's seen Carmen at least once, maybe, we think.
Yes.
Uh,
Well,
it,
I
it,
think actually there still are people who haven't, and I think that's why it's important to do some of these classic operas some regularity, because so that new people will see them. I mean, there are a lot of people who have heard about it, have certainly heard the music, and they may have seen some video clips here and there, but there are probably a lot of people, even in Santa Barbara and nearby, that have never seen the entire show, which is always a very impressive show. It's just, I mean, we all know that it has, we can all hum probably 3 or 4 tunes from it, even if we haven't seen it. But it's just such a feast of melody. There's just great tune after great tune, and you don't really realize that until you see the whole thing from beginning to end. It's just like the little bits and pieces that we hum in the shower are really only the tip of the iceberg. There's just a lot of absolutely fantastic music,
and
so it's worth seeing the show.
Yeah, and also a great dramatic, very moving,
very dramatic
piece of stage work as well.
Yeah.
But there is, for those who are unaware, a very, very famous children's chorus.
That is correct.
It comes up, wonderful children's chorus, and I think I read somewhere in preparing for this that Opera Santa Barbara is initiating a children's chorus now. Something? What? Tell me about that.
That is correct. Well, when we put together the season, we realized that 2 out of the 3 main stage operas call for children's chorus. There are Street Urchins in Carmen, and there are Fox Cubs in the second opera, the Cunning Little Vixen, that we're doing in March. And that gave us the opportunity to form an initiative that will give training and performance opportunities to children, and that will live for a long time past this season. It will sort of give children the opportunity to learn how to sing, learn how to sing in foreign languages, which is key in opera, and also dramatic arts, learn all sorts of stagecraft, makeup, movement, dance. So bring the children into contact with all the different art forms that constitute opera. So they're going to be in the main stage shows. They're going to even have their own little production at the end of the season in May. And in years coming, they will always be our children's chorus when we need it for main stage, but it will also be an arm of the company that will go out in the community and do concerts, holiday concerts, and they will have their own productions. It will be sort of a new level of activity and an artistic opportunity for our company.
I was just going to say it as the new artistic director of Opera Santa Barbara. Brilliant. That's you are developing audience big time, bringing kids into the experience, and I can't think of any more exciting experience for kids than Carmen, because they have quite a wonderful little bit of shtick to do.
That's correct. Yes.
So, give us an overview of this season, 2016-17, and then give me a tiny little hint. What's up for seasons beyond, as Opera Santa Barbara becomes an even more important regional and major opera company? We know it's going to go there.
Well, as far as this seasons go, the current season go, we are the way I think our seasons will be built. We will always have some classic works like Carmen, both because people really who know them really enjoy seeing them, and also they are a great opportunity for a company to build and demonstrate its artistic values, to really build and showcase your orchestra, your chorus, seek and bring to Santa Barbara top talent. So they are sort of the basics of what a reputation of an opera company is built on. I also will be including more unusual works from the classic repertoire. For example, this year we're doing Puccini's La Rondine, which is perhaps one of the least performed operas by Puccini. It's a little bit different than the other Puccini operas. For example, is I believe the only Puccini opera in which no one dies. And it's a mature work that brings, it's a very elegant work that brings a lot of the sensibilities of operetta in it, but it also has a very meaningful story, and it's sort of a great work of a mature artist who's telling a very entertaining and, on the surface, light-hearted story, but sort of you can hear him look back at his work and life as he's telling this story through his very elegant music. And we also have, I feel that it's always important that we include a work that is either was originally written in English or is performed in English translation, because I think there's a great portion of modern audiences that can't quite right away make that leap of going to see a show in a foreign language. So also, I think in engaging new audiences that have not grown up with the classical arts like opera, especially now that for several decades we've had a generation of kids that grew up without really substantial music education in school or at home. We need new works that demonstrate some more direct relevance. This year we're doing a Czech opera that will be performing it in English called The Cunning Little Vixen by one of my favorite composers and certainly one of the greatest 20th century opera composers, Leos Janáček, which is an allegory about the circle of life. And it's a story that is both moving and entertaining, and it's both for children and adults. We are featuring Isabel Baraktarian, a great soprano with international career that has sang this role many times, and she now lives here in Santa Barbara because she just became faculty at UCSB. And so that is sort of our more unusual outing for this season. That's going to be a very, very beautiful and entertaining production, and we hope that it will bring out. It's meant to be an opportunity for families to experience opera together, parents and children. Have this bonding opportunity. The arts are, and the performing arts in particular, are great bonding opportunities for families. So that's going to be our sort of more unusual outing. In future seasons, we will continue that model of mixing classics with more adventurous programming. I very much believe in contemporary opera. I believe in American opera. Opera is alive and well. Operas are being written all the time, and they are especially being written here in the United States. There is much more activity in contemporary opera in the United States than there is in Europe. And there's some wonderful pieces that speak directly to the American experience. They have roots in American music, and I believe any American company should program those regularly and bring them to their communities and have yet another level of interaction with the community in addition to the classics. So I would say it would be. We have some very exciting plans in place for next season that I'm not ready to announce, but you should expect a dynamic mix of grand opera with very high artistic values and contemporary works, very interesting subjects, works that are relatable by people who are not necessarily versed in the operatic tradition.
I am very, very pleased and thrilled to hear the artistic director of Opera Santa Barbara just say everything that you have just said. We're going to be done here in a minute. I can see your hand holding up your phone is about to give out.
Good news.
But
I invest in a tripod.
And just for me, I mean, I'm an American. I love American opera. I mean, American opera is amazing, and as you said, premiere after premiere, fabulous, amazing stories. And great American composers, wonderful. So I'm looking forward to in future hearing and seeing some American opera. Let's run it by very quickly once more so that Kostis can put his hand down and hang up on me and bring his arm back to life. Kostis Protopapas, Opera Santa Barbara, artistic director. We're talking about Georges Bizet's Carmen, composed in 1875, and it has been a hit ever since. Takes place in the streets of Sevilla, outside the bull ring. There's all kinds of drama and romance and, well, confrontations, let's put it that way. The dates, once more, for everyone in Southern California, so you can come up to Santa Barbara. Everybody wants to come to Santa Barbara for an afternoon, and the restaurants everybody knows are fabulous and so on. Friday, November 4th at 7:30 p.m., Carmen in the Granada Theater, Opera Santa Barbara. Sunday, November 6th at 2:30 in the afternoon, reprise of that performance of Carmen, again in the Granada Theater in downtown Santa Barbara. Tickets, $29 if there are going to be any tickets left at that price, through $204. I presume that's the box seating in that glorious little opera house we have in downtown Santa Barbara. Telephone number for tickets for all of you in Southern California, very, very easy. The area code in Santa Barbara is 805. Telephone number for the Granada Theater box office is 899-2222, or just look it up on the internet, www.granadasb.org. You can buy tickets online and so on. Directed by Octavio Cardenas. Kostis Protopapas is having his, Kostis, I must get that accent properly done. Protopapas is having his conducting debut with his company. That ought to scare a few people.
Well, I hope not.
Get a few people brilliantly focused, shall we say. And let me just run by the cast once more. Mezzo Leon Sandel Pantaleo in the role of Carmen. Tenor Harold Mears, graduate of, he will be seen, we've seen him in 2007 in Rigoletto. He's going to sing the role of Don Jose. Baritone Keith Fairs as the bullfighter Escamillo, and a Music Academy alumnus. And soprano Janine DeBeek as Micaela. Kostis, thank you very, very much indeed for giving me a few minutes.
Thank you for having me.
Let's end the conversation so you can get your arm back in shape. All right. See you. Thanks much.
Great day, Dan. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.